Hello and welcome to Through the Big Book with Dr. Ben. My name's Ben. I'm an alcoholic. We are into action. We'll be talking about step 8 today, which is on page 76. It's the third whole paragraph. Let's jump right in here. It says, now we need more action, without which we find that faith without works is dead. Let's look at steps 8 and 9. We have a list of all persons we've harmed and to whom we're willing to make amends. We made it when we took inventory. We subjected ourselves to a drastic self-appraisal. Now we go out to our fellows and repair the damage done in the past. We attempt to sweep away debris which has accumulated out of our effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. If we haven't the will to do this, we ask until it comes. Remember that it was agreed at the beginning we would go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. Wow, a lot of content right there in the leading paragraph. So faith without works is dead is from a religious book. You can look into that more if you like. It doesn't. Knowing more about that isn't going to. I don't think will contribute a whole lot more to your program, other than just know that we got to go do stuff. It's great that we've done a third step, but we need to continue to chip away at this stuff and clock in to do some spiritual work. Now there's obviously going to be people you don't want to go make amends to. And here again, just like on the sixth step, we ask God to help us do that. That's it, right? Pretty simple. So let me double check on this misgivings real quick. Misgivings definition. So misgivings means a feeling of doubt or apprehension about the outcome or consequences of something. So that'll help this next sentence out. It says, probably there are still some misgivings. So as we look over the list of business acquaintances and friends we've hurt, we may feel diffident about going to some of them on a spiritual basis. What does diffident mean? Sorry, I didn't have these all looked up and ready today. So diffident means modest or shy because of a lack of self-confidence. Let us be reassured. To some people, we need not and probably should not emphasize the spiritual feature on our first approach. We might prejudice them. At the moment, we're trying to put our lives in order, but this is not an end to itself. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and the people about us. Hang on there a second. Okay, now if you're like, Ben, what's your favorite sentence in the whole big book? That is my favorite sentence in the whole big book. My old sponsor, Hal's, was we should continue to... Where was that? It says our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. It's not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. That's from the 10 steps, so don't worry about that. But, okay, why? Why is that my favorite sentence? Our purpose. When I came into AA, I had dropped out of med school. I had stopped playing music. I was a musician for, a good decade. I played drums, both on stage and in studio, and I loved that. And whenever I stopped that to go back to school to get my bachelor's and go to medical school and stuff, it was a huge deal. So whenever I gave that up, I was lost. I thought, well, if I'm not a drummer anymore and I can't be a physician, and I'm all in crazy debt now from med school loans and undergrad loans, what am I going to do? I had no idea. I was in a state of anomie. That's spelled ANOMIE, and that's where you're kind of without direction. You have no idea where you're going to go, or where you're going, or what you're doing, and that's how I felt. I had no idea what to do. All I had was this AA stuff for a while, and it is one of the most the biggest contributors to people committing suicide is feeling a state of anomie. So it's not a good thing. And so to know that I could have a purpose here, again, and it doesn't have anything to do with being a drummer or a doctor. That was so big for me to know that I can be somebody, I can be something in, for AA and for God. That helped me out a lot. You may have all your stuff together and blah, 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 but some of us, spiritual low bottoms, even if we had a, whatever outside, this is huge. I mean, and let's be honest, that's pretty much all of us. That's why we all came in here, because we had that big God-sized hole in our heart. So this was huge. Our purpose is to fit ourselves. Now, I know I'm breaking one sentence down a lot here, but fit ourselves, what does that mean? Well, if you just watched the previous video, we did the 6 and 7 step. And so we're talking about being patient and being chasteful, or having chastity. I don't really know how to phonetically say that. To practice our gratitude, to be charitable, all these things. Also to have patience. That is being spiritually fit. Having patience, my goodness. Being self-sacrificial and is being fit. And it says to be of maximum service to God and the people about us. That sums up AA to me. Step 1 is about honesty. Step 2 is about hope. If I can give people hope, if I can give you hope about overcoming alcoholism or drug addiction or whatever it is that we're doing right now that you're working on. I mean, I'm taking you through the Alcoholics Anonymous book, but however it is that you're using this to apply, I'm giving you hope. And hope is powerful. Same with faith. All these things that we've been working on, all these spiritual principles that we're working on help me to be a better person for God and the people about me. And the better I am at executing those, the better my life's going to be. Because there are all these rewards. There are all these intrinsic rewards that come from executing life, a daily life with those characteristics. It's just incredible. The world, the universe just opens up for me when I'm living at my best like that. When I'm living my spiritual best, just nothing can touch me. And I can help anybody. It's just incredible. It's such a powerful, powerful feeling to have. So I love that sentence. It's so weird that it's placed right there to me. It's so weird, but nonetheless. So it says it's seldom wise to approach an individual who still smarts from our injustice to him, announce that we've gone religious. In the prize ring, this would be called leading with the chin. Why lay ourselves open to being branded fanatics or religious bores? We may kill a future opportunity to carry a beneficial message, but our man is sure to be impressed with the sincere desire to set right the wrong. He's going to be more interested in a demonstration of goodwill than in our talk of spiritual discoveries. Okay, so I do not approach people and talk about God. I don't talk about God unless the situation, to me, it sees fit, which is not a lot outside of AA. I might say God bless you, or God willing, things like that are very, I don't want to grade on somebody by bringing up a bunch of religious or spiritual or AA or anything stuff, because it's just a lot for a lot of people, especially in a men's situation. But if because a lot of people don't want to hear that, just straight up, they don't want to hear that. And if I'm there to make amends with somebody, and I've already shut their mind off because I'm talking about something they don't want to hear about, there's no way that I can set the matter straight, because they might just turn off and walk away, So it's more, and it also says, talking about interested in a demonstration of goodwill, show them. People like to be shown. Don't tell them, hey, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Show them that it's not going to happen again. Don't talk about it. And another thing that I was taught is that sorry is good within, 5 minutes to an hour. If it's happened, we'll just say an hour. There's no hard set rule on this. This is just something that I use. If it's happened within an hour, but quite honestly, I just do it within 5 minutes. then I can say I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry for that. I didn't, or even like a big thing like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I just freaking lied. I can't believe it. I'm embarrassed. Forgive me. Please forgive me. I just lied. I guess I was trying to impress you or something that was really stupid. I lied. I'm really sorry about that. Forgive me. That's an apology. An amends is, I was taught I effed up. What can I do to make it right? That's it. It's not, hey, I'm sorry about burning your house down. Forgive me. All right, peace. It's like, hey, I screwed up. I burned your house down. What can I do to make this right? That's an amends. And then you do it. So I will get more onto the specifics of how to make an amends later. We're still kind of talking about the 8th step. And I know these two steps get blended together a lot because they're kind of a 1-2 punch, much like the steps 6 and 7, but they are very different steps. Step 8 is talking about making a list and becoming willing. The willingness is a huge part of step 8 to me. Step 9 is actually making the amends. So just becoming willing to make amends to people you never want to see again or whatever is a huge deal. That's why it precedes the 9th step. We don't use this as an excuse for shying away from the subject of God. When it will serve any good purpose, we're willing to announce our convictions with tact and common sense. The question of how to approach the man we hated will arise. It may be he's done us more harm than we've done him, and though we may have acquired a better attitude toward him, we're still not too keen about admitting our faults. Nevertheless, with the person we dislike, we take the bit in our teeth. It's harder to go to an enemy than to a friend, but we find it much more beneficial to us. We go to him in a helpful and forgiving spirit, confessing our former ill feeling and expressing our regret. That's all pretty self-explanatory. This is huge. These are huge instructions here. It says, under no condition do we criticize such a person or argue. Simply we tell him that we will never get over drinking until we've done our utmost to straighten out the past. We're there to sweep off our side of the street, realizing that nothing worthwhile can be accomplished until we do so, never trying to tell him what he should do. His faults should not be discussed. We stick to our own. If our manner is calm, frank, and open, we'll be gratified with the result. I mean, this is so huge. Obviously, everybody else is going to have faults. They're going to be at fault. To be human is to err. That's just what we do best. We screw things up. No one will ever be perfect. Even if they want to act like it, they're not. I promise you. We're just there to and all we can control is our side of the street. If somebody did like a violent thing to you, or a sexual act, we can't make what they did right. All we can do is set our side of the street right. That's it. So then it says, in 9 cases out of 10, the unexpected happens. Sometimes the man we're calling upon admits his own fault. So feuds of years standing melt away in an hour. Rarely do we fail to make satisfactory progress. Our former enemies sometimes praise what we're doing and wish us well. Occasionally, they'll offer assistance. It shouldn't matter, however, if someone does throw us out of his office. We've made our demonstration and done our part. It's water over the dam. Oh, man, this is such a huge part. A lot of people, want to dodge the 9th step. They get scared of it. And most commonly, it has to do with this part right here. What is that part, Ben? It says most alcoholics owe money. No one wants to give their money away, dude. It's just, but we got to go through this. We got to pay these people their money, It says we don't dodge our creditors. Telling them what we're trying to do, we make no bones about our drinking. They usually know it anyway, whether we think so or not. And I heard the joke, and so I recycle it. That I was the last person to find out that I was an alcoholic. Everybody else knew before I did. It was probably the same with you, even though you might think you've got everybody fooled. You probably don't. So, nor are we afraid of disclosing our alcoholism on the theory it may cause financial harm. Approached in this way, the most ruthless creditor will sometimes surprise us. Arranging the best deal, we can let these people know we're sorry. Our drinking has made us slow to pay. So it says we must lose our fear of creditors, no matter how far we have to go, for we are liable to drink if we are afraid to face them. This is huge. I'll just tell you a personal story of mine. I worked at a fine dining restaurant when I was an undergrad, and was a bartender and a waiter at a restaurant. And it was so at most fine dining restaurants, you have the people at the table will sit there for several hours, 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes. And so your tips from each table matter a lot. And somebody, when people would, and I would have to drive in from 45 minutes or an hour or whatever to get to work. So, and it sustained me for an entire week in undergrad. And I would work 2 nights. I would work Friday night and Saturday night, and then I would drive back, home to where I lived. And so whenever it got to the point where if somebody tipped me bad, especially on a big party or something, that I would change it. I would change it up to 20%. And I did this for, I don't know, a year, 2 years. I honestly don't even know. And I don't know how many times I did it, but it was stealing. And I stole from people that I didn't even know because, I made the joke of, well, it's okay, I'm good at math, I'll fix it for you, because they probably just couldn't do it, because obviously we did a great job here, so don't worry, we'll get it taken care of. And I'd throw the receipt away and say, oh, it must have been my partner that had it, because we worked in partnerships there, And man, that is super dishonest. And this was in sobriety, guys. This was while I was in the program, So, sad. So I texted the boss, the owner of that place, and said, hey, can I stop by if you have a second? And he said, yeah, come on by. And so I went by, and, he had just opened up a new restaurant. It was a big place. So he'd opened up a new restaurant, like kind of within the restaurant, if you will. It's like partitioned. And he showed me around. He was happy that I'd come back. And he was so happy that, I'd gone to med school, because he said that he'd always wanted to, but he couldn't get through organic chemistry. And oh my God, it just made me well up, because I'm sitting here. I drove up there to make amends to the guy, and he's sitting here telling me how proud of me, or make amends to him. He's telling me how proud of me he was. And so obviously it was like, thank you so much for that. But listen, I got to tell you something. He said, well, what's up? And I told him what I just told you. I said, I've been stealing from your guests for a long time. I have no idea how much money I owe. I did that. And I am here to make it right. I have no idea what I can do, because I'm still broke. I'm still in college, but I'll do whatever I need to do. And he looked at me and he said, well, wow, Ben, that's incredible. Listen, I'm just proud of what you've accomplished and where you're at so far, and just keep doing what you're doing and pass it on to others that can be helped from that. And man, I'll tell you, the freaking fireworks that exploded in my heart, in my chest from that. Oh my God. I thought I was going to, who cares what I thought? The fact is that I'm there to make it right with that person. You're there to make it right with that person. I have no idea how this is going to play out. I might have to go back and scrub dishes for a month. And if that was what he wanted, I would have done it. It does not matter what all's involved in this. I would have to call and, take an absence of a leave of absence or whatever from school or whatever it is. I got to do it. I got to make this stuff right, because I don't want to drink again. To make that story a little bit better, this guy, he ended up passing away maybe a year and a half later during COVID, from complications from COVID. Oh, my God. And to know that that guy and I were square, that he and I were right, that I had it right, what kind of value can you possibly put on that? I mean, that's the premium that you can't buy. To be right spiritually with some, I mean, it's just, God, this program is so amazing. Not only did I not want to drink that night when he passed, I felt good. I felt happy for him. I felt that, I felt a peace. Happy is not the right word. I honestly don't have the words to describe what I'm saying, but nonetheless, that could have been a fortune, and I went to go make it, the effort, no matter how much it was going to cost me, and it didn't cost me any financial money at all, directly. I mean, obviously, here we are. I've bought the microphone and all the setup and all the, the musical interface, whatever, in order to make this. This stuff is amazing. It's always going to work out for the best. Even if I got to pay the full sum, that's fine. So it says, perhaps we've committed a criminal offense which might land us in jail if it were known to the authorities. We may be short in our accounts and unable to make good. We've already admitted this in confidence to another person, but we're sure that we'd be imprisoned or lose our job if it were known. Maybe it's only a petty offense, such as padding the expense account. Most of us have done that sort of thing. Maybe we're divorced and have remarried, but haven't kept up the alimony to number one. C's indignant about it and has a warrant out for our arrest. What does indignant mean? I don't have that on there. Indignant. Indignant means feeling or showing anger or annoyance at what is perceived as unfair treatment. It says that's a common form of trouble too. So that's pretty straightforward. It says, although these reparations take innumerable forms, which means many forms, there are some general principles which we find guiding. Reminding ourselves that we've decided to go to any length to find a spiritual experience, we ask that we be given strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequences may be. So that's another prayer. You can call that the 8-step prayer, or the 9-step prayer. I don't necessarily know if there is a 9-step prayer. Forgive me. So I'd call that the given the strength and direction to do the right thing. I would call it the 8-step prayer. It's not listed in here. It just kind of came to me. It says we may lose our position or reputation or face jail, but we are willing. We have to be. We must not shrink at anything. I don't care how bad you screwed this thing up. You can't be a punk. You can't be a you-know-what about it. You got to stand up. This is an honorable thing we're doing here. Stand up straight. Pull your shoulders back. Look these people in the eye. This is an honorable thing that we're doing. This is a huge deal. This sets right that, a lot of people lose their faith in humanity. And here's this guy, this old washed up, drunk or woman, whatever, this old washed up drunk comes up to him and wants to make it right with them. I mean, how often does that happen? It's amazing. It's an amazing thing. So don't be afraid. Don't shrink at these things. These are our responsibilities. This is an honorable thing. And I am telling you, you hear about the promises that, if we're painstaking about this phase of our development, blah, 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 from page 83, they read them all the time. Those promises are from this step. So, yeah, there's some huge promises that come out of it because this is not easy. And that's why we've got to ask for strength and direction to do the right thing. So I'm going to go ahead and end it there because this is, we've read like 2 pages and there's several more to go. So I don't want to have like a super long session here for you guys to wear you out. So we'll go ahead and pause it there and we will pick it right back up in the next episode on Into Action with the 8th and 9th step.